Welcome to today's talk. I want to talk about a practice of heart rhythm meditation today, which is called full breath. And it will be about accomplishments. And this meditation practice is actually a part of a 4-week program or a 4-week introduction to heart rhythm meditation that I want to put here onto YouTube. And the first week was about conscious breath, making the breath conscious. So this was about just observing one's breath and looking for thoughts, feelings, and sensations that arise within one's body and within one's heart and mind. The second week was about rhythmic breath, about how the importance of rhythm in life, how to use one's breath to enhance one's rhythm within life. And now we are on week 3, which is about using full breath to develop emotional capacity, or one could say also nervous capacity for accomplishments in different areas of life. And finally, I want also to talk about retained breath, so-called method of square breath, which allows you to even increase your personal power over a long time. The source material for all of that is a book called Living from the Heart, which was written by Susanna and Puran Bair. It's describing the methods, some basic methods of heart rhythm meditation, and you can buy it through Amazon, for example, but you can also join or look for further information on www.imheart.org, where you can find information about the Institute for Applied Meditation on the Heart, where you can find, for example, courses to introduce you to different aspects of heart rhythm meditation and how to apply it on daily life, like, for example, accomplishments, relationships, health, and so on. So why are we talking about full breath? Full breath means full life. So you do it by actually breathing deeply into one's stomach. For example, you can put a hand onto your stomach, and then when you breathe in and breathe out, it's like that the stomach actually moves. So the method is actually that you breathe in a silent, continuous way, and you're moving actually your belly. With the out breath, of course, you move out the breath and your belly moves in. And with the in breath, your belly, your lungs and your belly is actually filled in. And this is actually a symbolic for the interactions that we have in life, or the exchanges that we have in life. So the in breath is a symbol for accepting everything that is given to us. Everything that we perceive. To accept this is actually a symbol for the in-breath. Or the other way around, the in-breath is a symbol for everything that we receive. And the out-breath is symbolic for everything that we give. So this practice is about accepting everything and giving everything that we have. And what happens by doing this kind of breathing is you feel your emotions way deeper. You can get into the deepest feelings that you have. You feel actually your sensations. You can feel maybe more stronger, even sensations that you have. And also your thoughts may clear up doing this kind of practice. And if you do this for a longer time, let's say, for example, you have a habit doing this, it can help you to create or to build up more emotional capacity over time, which is very helpful actually for everything in life. It's helpful, as I said, for your job. It's helpful also for health, as I found out, and it's helpful for relationships. So I started already to talk a little bit about the method, we actually breathe in and out through the nose, and it's important that it's a smooth and continuous and silent way of breathing. So the best way to breathe is actually to do it in a very silent way, as silent and smooth as you can do it. So for example, it's like continuous, and the best way is that you don't hear it. So putting, for example, the hands on your stomach, you breathe out, and when you touch actually the point of the lowest breath, when you're out of breath, you immediately start to breathe in again. So we don't have any breaks here, any pauses. We directly start with the inhalation after we touch the ground or the bottom of the breath, and we go up to the top and immediately start to breathe out again. That is actually the method, and it's helpful to use the rhythmic breath here again. For example, you can count to 6, 8, 10 or 12 heartbeats, and if you cannot count the heartbeats because you cannot feel the heartbeat directly, you can also use seconds. For example, count to 6 seconds and then count again with the out breath to 6 seconds. As I said, this is a very helpful practice, but why could it be, so if it's so helpful, why could it be that it's challenging for some people? The reason is that if you accept everything and you breathe deeply, that you also touch the deepest fears that you have. So one example is directly in the English language. In the old English language, actually the word inspire means in-breath and the word expire means out-breath. But the word expire at the same times can also mean to die. So actually the situation where you're out of breath is like a very small simulation of death, and it can simulate the state, or it can activate the fear of death. And this is why it is challenging. And actually, if you talk about fear, there can also be many other fears. For example, if you think about what do people fear the most, it's tough to talk about it, but it turns out that actually people are often afraid of life. For example, to really feel is already fearful, or people are afraid of feeling deeply because it is challenging to hold this kind of emotions. But if you're doing this kind of deep breath, it actually helps you to process it, because one time I also talked about heart rhythm meditation and heart rate variability. What happens if you sit still and you breathe deeply is actually that your heart and your breath align together, and the heart rate variability shows a very good pattern that is actually usually associated with being relaxed or being in a good emotional state. So it's a way to allow you to face actually things that are challenging. And that's why it is about emotional capacity training. If you look at the iceberg model by C.G. Jung, and about if you put it into, so combine it actually with what we are doing right here, the breath allows us to touch actually the subconscious. So what is not conscious, or what is subconscious in a subconscious, can be touched by breathing deeply. And the deeper and the longer you breathe, meaning if you sit, for example, like 20 minutes would be very beneficial, which is of course hard at the beginning, but this would be a good number. For example, 20 minutes of sitting and breathing, you go deeply into your subconscious, and actually you don't have to do it deliberately, it just happens if you do it. And if you allow yourself, your body, to really feel your emotions, really feel your thoughts, your sensations, and your deep feelings that you have. As said, 20 minutes would be the best length for such a practice. One could even sit an hour if somebody is very, very inclined to do this kind of meditation. But of course, in the beginning, it's tough to start over something like this. So according to Atomic Habits, for example, it's good to start with 2 minutes with such a practice. So I will do a brief meditation of 2 minutes and upload it here on this channel. And I will also make, for example, a meditation around 8 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, to allow you to dive deeper into this kind of practice, and also to introduce other things that you can do with this kind of breathing. For example, you can also, if you're talking about a relationship, you can also imagine sitting somebody in front of you and to create something like a circle, if you want to call it like that. So you can send out everything that you want to give, or everything, actually you want to give everything. It's a better way to say it. You give everything, send it out to a person, and you receive and take everything that's coming back, which can be challenging, especially if you have a difficult relationship. But for example, you can do it also with persons, and you may also apply it, for example, on a difficult situation at your job or other situations that may be challenging. So that's my talk of today, and I wish you a great day.